Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Doc and Queenie Bible Trivia. Now, I know Doc and Queenie is two people, and we will get there in a second, but Doc is having connection problems, so hopefully she will be able to get on super duper fast, because otherwise it's going to be Queenie Bible Trivia, and that's not going to work. So hopefully this will happen. There we go. Let's see if that works out great. Hi, Doc.
Hi.
We are live on Facebook Live on our green screen, on our StreamYard, on our Facebook, on our everything. How's that now? Is that a better connection?
No, it's horrible.
Still horrible?
It's probably on my end. I don't know what else to do. You're not moving still. And am I clear?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay. Well, I will just pretend like you're talking to me.
Okay.
Even though you're stuck.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. So, did you have a decision on what book you wanted to do tonight?
Yes. Have we done Ecclesiastes, Queenie?
Well, that was the one that you actually gave me this week. It was Ecclesiastes 10:2. Is that the one that you were thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfecto. So tell us how that came to be for you.
I can't hear you now. This is going good. This is going to go great. What did you say?
Tell us how you came to be with Ecclesiastes 10:2.
Well, I actually saw something on with one of my accounts. Somebody had posted something on my social media accounts, and this is what they said. It says, "I've always wondered why liberals were referred to as left and conservatives as right. Then I found this in the Bible. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left." Now, I'm not making a judgment. That's what the Bible says. And that's Ecclesiastes 10, verse 2. So I'm curious as to what Ecclesiastes chapter 10 is going to say, just in general.
I agree. I never feel that these things are accidental. And so that would be my other thing is there always is a reason when we find stuff during the week for things like this. All right. So that's where we're going. Ecclesiastes. Let's see if this Bible has Ecclesiastes in it.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, seriously. Try to go slower. All right. Funny. Okay. Do you want to start at 10 since there's only 12 chapters total? Because that's 1,000,000% up to you. If you want to do Ecclesiastes 10, then we have 11 and 12, but that's 1,000,000% up to you. All right. Uh-oh, we lost Doc again. There we are. And now you came back. Ta-da!
I love technology.
I know. I was just wondering if you wanted to start at 10 and just do 10, 11, 12, or if you wanted to start maybe at 8 or 9 or 7.
How about if we start at 9 and go to the end if we can?
Okay.
And tonight I'm going to skip reading from the Message since my connection is really not good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. We can do that. There we are. All right. So welcome everyone to Doc and Queenie Bible Trivia. We're thrilled that you're with us tonight. We are going to read and study Bible trivia style from Ecclesiastes, and we're going to start with chapter numero 9. Okay. So Doc, are you ready for the quiz?
I'm ready, Queenie.
All right. The righteous, the wise, and their works shall always be remembered, are in the hand of God, shall be trodden down, are a threat to man. The righteous, the wise, and their works shall always be remembered, are in the hand of God, shall be trodden down are a threat to man. Miss Janice says hand of God. What do you think about that, Doc?
I can't hear the word you're saying, Queenie.
Okay. Hand of God seems to be the answer. Let's see what Ecclesiastes 9:1 says.
9:1. Okay. But all this is I laid to heart, examining it all, how the righteous and the wise and their deeds are in the hand of God. Whether it is love or hate, man does not know, but both are before him.
Beautiful. Ecclesiastes 9:1 it is. Welcome to Janice and Donna. For him that is still alive, there is provisions, rebuke, hope, or water. For him that is still alive, there is provisions, rebuke, hope, or water. It's almost like I wrote that one.
All right. You're going to have to give me a verse, even though I can't hear you.
Okay. Okay, I think we can do that. It's Ecclesiastes 9:4.
Okay, thank you. Ecclesiastes 9:4. But he who is joined with all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion.
That's an interesting way to put it. All right. Now, if you all were listening to that verse, you'll already know the answer to this one. A living dog is better than a man, a child, unseen hope, or a dead lion. A living dog is better than a man, a child, unseen hope, or a dead lion.
Ecclesiastes 9:4. But he who is joined with all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion.
Absolutely. Good job, ladies. Next up, the living know that they shall reign, die, bear children, boast of nothing. The living know that they shall reign, die, bear children, boast of nothing.
Verse 5. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten.
Die it is. Whatever you find for your hand to do, pray about it, ask for help, be glad, do it with your might. Whatever you find for your hand to do, pray about it, ask for help, be glad, do it with your might.
Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with your might, for there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol to which you are going.
Ecclesiastes 9:10 it is. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, because this happens to them all. Time and chance, a losing streak, poverty, or fear. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, because this happens to them all. Time and chance, a losing streak, poverty, or fear.
I will need the verse.
We're going to need a lot of help tonight, I have a feeling, right?
Uh-huh.
This will be 9/11.
9/11. Again, I saw that under the sun the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor the bread to the wise, nor the riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge, but time and chance happen to them all.
Time and chance. Perfect for our Bible scholar ladies. Janice and Donna are in the house. Man does not know this any more than fish caught in a net or birds caught in a snare. His time, his name, God, or his children. Man does not know this any more than fish caught in a net or birds caught in a snare. His time, his name, God, or his children.
Ecclesiastes 9, verse 12. For man does not know his time, like fish that are taken in an evil net, and like birds that are caught in a snare. So the children of man are snared at an evil time when it suddenly falls upon them.
His time is the correct answer. Ecclesiastes 9:12 it is. Who delivered the city from the great king? God, Satan, a poor wise man, a mighty angel. Who delivered the city from the great king? God, Satan, a poor wise man, or a mighty angel?
Ecclesiastes 9, verse 15. But there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man.
A poor wise man it is. This is better than strength, money, wisdom, vanity, or fame. This is better than strength, money, wisdom, vanity, fame.
I will need a verse on that, Queenie.
9:16.
Ecclesiastes 9:15. But there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city, yet no one remembered the poor man. That doesn't sound right.
It's 9:16.
16. Okay, see, I even have my headphones on to listen. We're just having a day. Ecclesiastes 9:16. But I say that wisdom is better than might, though the poor man's wisdom is despised and his words are not heard. Wisdom, 1,000 points for everybody. Oh, I can see you. You just moved.
Things are getting better. One of these.
The only way to go is up.
Yeah, let's hope, right? One of these destroys much good. A flood, a sinner, a bomb, or a whirlwind. One of these destroys much good. A flood, a sinner, a bomb, or a whirlwind.
Ecclesiastes 9:18. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good.
I'm telling you what, that is an incredible chapter. And the theme, the pervasive theme for these, wisdom is a word. People say things like, with age comes wisdom, the wisdom of the ages, those kind of things. It's amazing. Wisdom is a powerful thing. And I guess it's how people use it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. We are now up for Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Let's see how this left-right thing does that you opened with. Are you ready, Doc?
I think so.
Okay.
Frozen again.
Uh-oh. These cause the ointment of the apothecary to stink. Weeds, dead flies, aloes, or dandelions. These cause the ointments of the apothecary to stink. Weeds, dead flies, aloes, dandelions.
That's an interesting question. Mine is
You are
totally different.
having way too much fun with this one.
Verse 1, and it looks like Janice and Donna already are 10,000 steps ahead of me, and that's okay. I'm comfortable in that. Verse 1, dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor.
There we are, back to that word again, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Dead flies is the correct answer. When a fool walks by the way, this fails him. His servant, his heart, his wisdom, his strength. When a fool walks by the way, this fails him. His servant, his heart, his wisdom, his strength.
Ecclesiastes 10:3. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool.
Back to that word again, aren't we?
Yep.
This is set in great dignity. Folly, wise men, hope, or death. This is set in great dignity. Folly, wise men, hope, or death.
Ecclesiastes 10:6. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place.
Wow, now that's another powerful thing. We need a lot of t-shirts made out of this book.
Yeah.
Servants have been seen upon horses, and these walking as servants. Mules, dogs, angels, princes. Servants have been seen upon horses, and these walking as servants. Mules, dogs, angels, princes.
Ecclesiastes 10:7. I have seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves.
Truth. He that digs a pit is wise, is prepared for battle, shall fall in it, is worse than an infidel. He that digs a pit is wise, is prepared for battle, shall fall in it, is worse than an infidel.
Ecclesiastes 10:8. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. 1,000 points for Donna and Janice.
We have to go quickly because I don't want to stay on that serpent word.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, and here we go again. There is no better than a biting serpent, a mad dog, a roaring lion, a babbler, a wise man. I can't wait to hear your interpretation. This is no better than a biting serpent, a mad dog, a roaring lion, a babbler, a wise man.
You're going to have to give me a verse. I can't find it.
Okay. 10:11.
Right. If the serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer. Yeah, you're dead. I don't know.
Seriously.
Just saying. No wisdom in that.
I wanted to know what babbler was going to be interpreted as, so you got it as
if the serpent bites before it is charmed.
Yeah, so it's a snake charmer, basically, is what they consider a babbler.
They think they're kind of crazy to start with. So.
Yeah. The words of a wise man's mouth are sharp as a two-edged sword, are biting, are gracious, are many. The words of a wise man's mouth are sharp as a two-edged sword, are biting, are gracious, are many.
Ecclesiastes 10:12. The words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him.
Win him favor it is gracious. A fool is full of righteousness, knowledge, kindness, or words. A fool is full of righteousness, knowledge, kindness, or words.
Is that verse 13 or 14, Queenie? Because, of course, it's not real clear on this end.
It's actually 14.
14. A fool multiplies words, though no man knows what is. Who can tell him that will be after? Kind of an interesting.
A fool is full of words. That's correct. Wow. That kind of gets, for me, that gets back to that word that's a babbler, even though they interpreted that as a charmer.
Yep.
By much of this, the building decays. Pride, argument, slothfulness, honor. By much of this, the building decays. Pride, argument, slothfulness, honor.
I need a verse again.
Wanted to give them uno secondo. I want to see what slothfulness translates to also. 10:18.
10:18. Through sloth, the roof sinks in, and through indolence, the house leaks.
And this one says, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. So slothfulness apparently is not a good thing to do.
And I'm going to switch to NIV. NIV says, through laziness, the rafters sag. Because of idle hands, the house leaks.
There you go. Yes. Idle hands is the devil's play yard. I remember all of those things from 100 years ago. The answers all things. This answers all things. Poverty, money, a snare, despair. This answers all things. Poverty, money, a snare, despair.
I have no idea where that's at.
10:19.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. A feast is made for laughter. Wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything. There we go.
Money is the answer for everything. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we did it. Ecclesiastes 10 completo. Are you ready for 11, Dr. Laura?
I am ready, Queenie.
All right. Thank you to everyone who is joining us tonight live. We get to be with Donna and Janice again, which is super fun for us. If you're listening on the replay, hopefully your answers are close. And if not, that's why we give the chapter and verse every time, so you'll be able to look it up and study at your own leisure. So, Doc, we're going to start now with Ecclesiastes 11. Ready, set, go?
Ready, Queenie.
Cast this upon the waters, for you shall find it after many days. Your hope, your bread, your life, your sorrow. Cast this upon the waters, for you shall find it after many days. Your hope, your bread, your life, your sorrow.
Well, this version says in verse 1, ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return.
Wow.
That is NIV. Let me just, as long as we're kind of here, let me see what English Standard Version says. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Let's see. NASB, cast your bread on the surface of the waters, for you will find it after many days. Let me try one more version. I'm having difficulty today. And then KJV. Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. So I guess that seems to be the thing.
Bread is the consistent theme in all of the different versions, that's for sure.
Yes.
Ecclesiastes 11:1, absolutely. If the clouds are full of rain, they are gray, blow in the wind, empty themselves, disappear as a vapor. If the clouds are full of rain, they are gray, blow in the wind, empty themselves, disappear as a vapor.
Ecclesiastes 11:3. If the clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie.
Empty themselves, correct to the ladies. The place where this falls, there it shall be. A tree, vanity, truth, or sorrow. The place where this falls, there it shall be. A tree, vanity, truth, or sorrow.
That looks like that's verse 3 again.
Uh-huh.
So if the clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie.
Tree is correct. He that observes the wind shall not go without, fear, sow, mourn. He that observes the wind shall not go without, fear, sow, mourn.
Verse 4, Ecclesiastes 11, verse 4. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap.
So it is. He that regards the clouds shall not pray, reap, stand, sleep. He that regards the clouds shall not pray, reap, stand, sleep.
Are we at verse 5? Or are we
I know it's still 4.
Okay. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap.
Reap it is.
And being a gardener or a farmer of sorts, if you're paying attention to all of that stuff, you pay attention, but you still have to do what you're going to do.
Yes, and everything. This is where we came from. I mean, it's just so perfect. Do this in the morning. Sow your seed, sleep, mourn, drink, and make merry. Do this in the morning. Sow your seed, sleep, mourn, drink, and make merry.
Ecclesiastes 11:6. Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well.
Sow your seed. If a man live many years, there will be many of these: children, dreams, days of darkness, broken promises. If a man lives many years, there will be many of these: children, dreams, days of darkness, broken promises.
Ecclesiastes 11:8.
However many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all. But let them remember the days of darkness, for there will be many.
Darkness it is. Young men, rejoice in your youth, your name, folly, making merry. Young men, rejoice in your youth, your name, folly, making merry.
Ecclesiastes 11:9. You who are young, be happy while you are young. Let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Of your heart and whatever your eyes see. But know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment.
That's another profound one. Enjoy your youth. I don't want to go there. Yeah. Put
you're only 29.
his, yeah, I know, seriously. Put his away from your flesh. Myrrh, evil, sun, fear. Put his away from your flesh. Myrrh, evil, sun, fear.
Ecclesiastes 11:10. So then, banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless. And I know, Queenie, I said I didn't want to read from the message, but since this is such a short chapter, and as long as you can still hear me, I'd like to read from the message, if that's possible.
Absolutely. No, we can totally hear you. Yeah,
okay.
we can totally hear you. You're doing great.
You sound like you're in an electrical storm or something. Your mouth.
Well, the good news is I'm not in an electrical storm, so that's even better. We're not actually finished with this chapter yet, okay?
We aren't? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Childhood and youth are forgotten forever. Vanity, but a season. Childhood and youth are forgotten forever. Vanity, but a season.
Ecclesiastes 11:10. So then, banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless.
Yes, okay, that is the end.
So I'll jump now? I can jump?
The answer is vanity for everyone watching, and that's Ecclesiastes 11:10. Yes, Doc, proceed with the message. I love that interpretation.
All right, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 11. I thought this was interesting. Be generous, invest in acts of charity. Charity yields high returns. Don't hoard your goods, spread them around, be a blessing to others. This could be your last night. When the clouds are full of water, it rains. When the wind blows down a tree, it lies where it falls. Don't sit there watching the wind. Do your own work. Don't stare at the clouds. Get on with your life. Just as you'll never understand the mystery of life forming in a pregnant woman, so you'll never understand the mystery at work and all that God does. Go to work in the morning and stick to it until evening without watching the clock. You never know from moment to moment how your work will turn out in the end. Oh, how sweet the light of day, and how wonderful to live in the sunshine. Even if you live a long time, don't take a single day for granted. Take delight in each light-filled hour, remembering that there will also be many dark days, and that most of what comes your way is smoke. You who are young, make the most of your youth. Relish your youthful vigor. Follow the impulses of your heart. If something looks good to you, pursue it. But know also that not just anything goes. You have to answer to God for every last bit of it. Live footloose and fancy free. You won't be young forever. Youth lasts about as long as smoke.
Now, since you are hearable now, the Ecclesiastes 10 is the one that we were originally interested in as far as the left-right thing. Do you want to see what the message has to say about that one?
Sure. As long as you can hear.
Yeah, we can actually.
Okay. Ecclesiastes 10. All right. Dead flies and perfume make it stink, and a little foolishness that composes much wisdom. Wise thinking leads to right living. Stupid thinking leads to wrong living. And that's that verse we were talking about. That's 10 2. Verse 3. Fools on the road have no sense of direction. The way they walk tells the story. There goes the fool again. If a ruler loses his temper against you, don't panic. A calm disposition quiets temperate rage. Here's a piece of bad business I've seen on this earth, an error that can be blamed on whoever is in charge. Immaturity is given a place of prominence, while maturity is made to take a back seat. I've seen unproven upstarts riding in style while experienced veterans are put out to pasture. Caution, the trap you set might catch you. Warning, your accomplice in crime might double cross you. Safety first. Quarreling stones is dangerous. Be alert. Felling trees is hazardous. Remember, the duller the axe, the harder the work. Use your head. The more brains, the less muscle. If the snake bites you before it's been charmed, what's the point then sending for the charmer? The words of a wise person are gracious. The talk of a fool self-destructs. He starts out talking nonsense and ends up spouting insanity and evil. Fools talk way too much, chattering stuff they know nothing about. A decent day's work so fatigues fools that they can't find their way back to town. Unlucky the land whose king is a young pup, and whose princes party all night. Lucky the land whose king is mature, where the princes behave themselves and don't drink themselves silly. This man lives in a tumble down shack. Lazy woman is up laughter and blood is out, and why it sparkles to life. But it's money makes the world go round. Don't badmouth your leaders, not even under your breath. And don't abuse your betters, even in the privacy of your home. Loose talk has a way of getting picked up and spread around. Little birds drop the crumbs of gossip far and wide. Wow.
Seriously, wow. Mm. Okay, good job for us. And it sounds like your internet is getting, it's in and out still, but it sounds like it's getting a little better than at the beginning.
I wish on your end it is, but on this end it still can't get much. So we'll just keep going.
Okay. All right, let's start with Ecclesiastes 12. Here we go. Remember your Creator in the days of sorrow, famine, your youth, or prosperity. Remember your Creator in the days of sorrow, famine, your youth, prosperity.
Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in it.
Youth it is. That's a common theme too. Ouch. Remember your Creator when the sun and the light and the stars are not bright, awesome, radiant, darkened. Remember your Creator when the sun and the light and the stars are not bright, awesome, radiant, darkened.
Ecclesiastes 12, verse 2. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, the clouds return after the rain.
Darkened it is. Good job, ladies. Remember your Creator before the daughters of music. Sing, dance, shall be brought low, play their harps. Remember your Creator before the daughters of music. Sing, dance, shall be brought low, play their harps.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4. When the doors to the street are closed and the sound of grinding fades, when people rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint.
So how this is interpreted here is shall be brought low. 12:4 it is. The dust shall return to God, the wind, the earth, stone. The dust shall return to God, the wind, the earth, stone.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it.
Earth it is, ladies. Good job. The spirit shall return to God, man, the beast, the wind. The spirit shall return to God, man, the beast, or wind.
That looks like Ecclesiastes 12:7 again. And the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it.
God it is. Vanity of vanities. All is well, folly, vanity, holy unto the Lord. Vanity of vanities. All is well, folly, vanity, holy unto the Lord.
I will need a verse, Queenie.
8.
Meaningless, everything is meaningless.
Can you read that again, por favor?
Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless.
And so meaning, that's why I was trying to hear the interpretation of vanity, because that's what this says. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity. But I knew that wouldn't be it. So it's meaningless. So yes. Because he was wise, he taught the people knowledge and set in order many proverbs. Moses, the preacher, the fool, the angel of death. Because he was wise, he taught the people knowledge and set in order many proverbs. Moses, the preacher, the fool, the angel of death.
That would be verse 9. And this version says, not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs.
Preacher it is. Much of this is weariness of the flesh. Study, sowing, reaping, folly. Much of this is weariness of the flesh. Study, sowing, reaping, folly.
We'll need a verse.
Uno momento, por favor.
Sí.
I wonder how we would do if we tried to do this in Spanish. Oh my gosh.
You would be better at it than me. No comprendo.
We would be in big trouble. This is 12.
12. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them, of making many books, there is no end. But much study wearies the mind.
Much study is the weariness of the flesh. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. That's an interesting term. I had a lady today during one of my groups I was in that asked me a question that was like a kind of a, what? And she went, oh my gosh, I think I've been on the internet too long today. and it was like, yeah, I kind of believe that, because it was one of those, what? And yeah, it was a funny thing, but I know what that means. You know, this screen time thing is rough, and it would be the same as if you sat at your desk in your office in a brick and mortar too long. You've got to change the scenery.
Yes.
So that's an amazing thing. This is the whole duty of men. Fear God and keep your tongues, his commandments, free your name. This is the whole duty of man. Fear God and keep your tongues, his commandments, free or your name.
Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind.
12:13. Good job, ladies. God shall bring every work into satisfaction, harvest, judgment, righteousness. God shall bring every work into satisfaction, harvest, judgment, righteousness.
Ecclesiastes 12:14. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil.
Judgment it is. Da da da. Did you want to read this in the message?
Yeah, why don't we try that again?
Okay.
Honor and enjoy your Creator while you're still young, before the years take their toll and your vigor wanes, before your vision dims and the world blurs, and the winter years keep you close to the fire. In old age, your body no longer serves you so well. Muscles slacken, grip weakens, joints stiffen. The shades are pulled down on the world. You can't come and go well, and things grind to a halt. The hum of the household fades away, and you are awakened now by bird song. Hikes to the mountains are a thing of the past. Even a stroll down the road has its terrors. Your hair turns apple blossom white, adorning a fragile and impotent matchstick body. Yes, you're well on your way to eternal rest, while your friends make plans for your funeral. Wow. Life, lovely while it lasts, is soon over. Life as we know it, precious and beautiful, ends. The body is put back in the same ground it came from. The spirit returns to God who first breathed it. It's all smoke, nothing but smoke. The quester says that everything's smoke. Besides being wise himself, the quester also taught others knowledge. He weighed, examined, and arranged many proverbs. The quester did his best to find the right words and write the plain truth. The words of the wise prod us to live well. They're like nails hammered home, holding life together. They are given by God, the one shepherd. But regarding anything beyond this, dear friend, go easy. There's no end to the publishing of books, and constant study wears you out, so you're no good for anything else. The last and final word is this: fear God, do what he tells you, and that's it. Eventually, God will bring everything that we do into the open, judge it according to its hidden intent, whether it's good or evil.
Wow.
Another wow.
This is just obviously an aside, but I wrote this down the other night in another Bible study that I was in, and it's Hebrews 11. And that's all I wrote down was Hebrews 11. So for me, that's always a providential message. And we've got just enough time to do one more chapter. Is that okay if we go there?
Sounds great, Queenie.
All right. Hebrews 11, let's see what this message is to us. By faith, this man offered a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. Adam, Abel, Seth, or Noah. By faith, this man offered a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. Adam, Abel, Seth, Noah.
Hebrews 11:4. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous, and God spoke well of his offering.
Abel it is. By faith, this man was translated that he should not see death. Moses, David, Aaron, Enoch. By faith, this man was translated that he should not see death? Moses, David, Aaron, or Enoch?
Hebrews 11:5. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God was taking him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God.
Hebrews 11:5. Without faith, it is impossible to do this. Live beyond the age of accountability. That kind of hurt. Have children. Please God. Get rich. Without faith, it is impossible to do this. Live beyond the age of accountability. Have children. Please God. Get rich.
Hebrews 11:6. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek.
I think that's why I wrote this one down, because it's obviously the honor God thing. By faith, Noah prepared one. House, fort, tower, ark. By faith, Noah prepared one. House, fort, tower, ark.
Hebrews 11:7. By faith, Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear, built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith.
I'm thinking everybody will get that one right. By faith, this man, when he was called, went out not knowing where he was going. Abraham, Saul, Esau, Pharaoh. By faith, this man, when he was called, went out not knowing where he was going. Abraham, Saul, Esau, Pharaoh.
Hebrews 11, verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going.
This one even says not knowing whither he was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Through faith, this woman had a child in her old age. Sarah, Deborah, Mary, Martha. Through faith, this woman had a child in her old age. Sarah, Deborah, Mary, Martha.
Hebrews 11:11. And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children, because she considered him faithful who had made the promise.
This is another perfect example for me. There is nothing impossible with God. I mean, seriously, think about it. There is nothing he can't do. And past childbearing age, how old was she by our standards?
I know Janice and Donna will know that. How old was Sarah?
Yeah,
called her
like,
Sarai.
Yes, Sarai. Because
Or
past
90.
childbearing age, I mean, seriously, but it seems like when the way some of the versions talk and some of the different books of the Bible talk, she was really up there, and there was no way she could have 90. See, 90 by our standards, that is not going to happen in these days. I'm just sure of it.
Oh, well, we've heard once in a while there's somebody in their 50s that has a baby, and you're like, no. Not that I would know what it's like being 50, of course.
Oh, absolutely. That's a long way off for both of us. But thank you, Janice. But 90, I mean, seriously, 90. I have heard the 80s, the 90s, that you just can't even imagine. He can do anything. And when people fret and lament over just stuff, life, I always think of these big things. Sarah had a baby. You can't outgive God. There's just absolutely no way. You cannot outgive God. By faith, when Abraham was tried, offered up this sacrifice. Let me get you back in. You went to a different page this time. That is bizarre.
Well, there's two of me. Oh,
yeah, I was going to say, yeah. As soon as you went out of here, then there was two of you, and I thought, which one of you do I put in the screen?
Which doc? Well, and then from what I gathered, what you were just saying, I mean, even on a simple level of just think about everything he answers without even us asking.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Everybody prays so hard, and I need this, I need this, I need this. And all of a sudden he gives us something kind of unrelated, but it turns out to be a much bigger blessing anyway. It's amazing. The ladies are already ahead of us. Apparently we're going too slow. By faith, when Abraham was tried, offered up this sacrifice: Isaac, Jacob, turtle doves, or lambs. And the girls have decided it's son, so I have a feeling that might be Isaac. Huh, Doc?
I think that might be Isaac, perhaps. Yes. Let's see. What verse am I on?
You're on 17.
I'm on 17. Okay. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son. That has kind of an interesting twist to it, wouldn't you say, Queenie?
I would say. Wow. And that's just, the faith piece is just so huge. Yeah. By faith, when this man was dying, he gave commandment concerning his bones: Moses, Adam, Joseph, Enoch. By faith, when this man was dying, he gave commandment concerning his bones: Moses, Adam, Joseph, Enoch.
Hebrews 11:22. By faith, Joseph, when his end was near, spoke about the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt and gave instructions concerning the burial of his bones.
Beautiful. Good job, ladies. By faith, this man refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter: David, Saul, Jonah, Moses. By faith, this man refused to be called the son of the Pharaoh's daughter: David, Saul, Jonah, Moses.
Hebrews 11:24. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter.
Moses it is. By faith, this woman did not perish when the walls of Jericho fell, because she received the spies: Rahab, Jezebel, Bathsheba, Sarah. By faith, this woman did not perish when the walls of Jericho fell, because she received the spies: Rahab, Jezebel, Bathsheba, Sarah.
Hebrews 11:31. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient.
Rahab it is. All right, Doc. The faith piece, I think in one of the Bible studies I was talking about, there was lamenting from a standpoint of other people in such turmoil, etc. And it was like, what do we bless them with? And that's when they said Hebrews 11. So that's where this came from, I'm sure.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, I think you'll be very happy to know that we came to the end of our hour with your internet still intact. So what do you think?
I think, you just got to keep moving forward regardless of what happens, right? We were just giving you that example tonight.
We want to make sure that you do not throw your computer in the backyard. Can we get you to promise that?
I will try not to throw it outside through the window. Yes.
And I'm sure instantly your brain is thinking, but I can do it another way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It fell out of the car and I rolled over it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all for joining us on Doc and Queenie Bible Trivia. As you have seen, anything can happen. We are so excited to bring this to you every single week. And thank you, Donna and Janice, for always being so faithful and being here with us so that we have interaction. And certainly your Bible scholarliness is so welcome in our lives. So, Doc, what do you think? Take us home.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna and Janice. And thank you for everyone who will see us on replay or who might be just watching us without us knowing. But we appreciate you and everybody. And don't forget to check us out, Facebook Live, Doc and Queenie at
high noon
on Monday. I did that backwards. Everything is backwards.
That's okay.
High noon on Monday, or join us again here, Bible Trivia, on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Queenie.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.